They thought Africa would always accept the terms dictated from afar, quietly playing by someone else's rules. But something changed. A whisper in Namibia grew into a confident declaration. This is the rise of a continent reclaiming its dignity and borders. The world woke up in April 2025 to wild headlines. Namibia was deporting 500 Americans. The new president, a woman, was supposedly kicking out Americans and sending a message to the West. The story exploded online, fueled by outrage and surprise. But the reality was far more nuanced and more revolutionary. There was no mass deportation, no anger, no revenge. The real story was about paperwork. Namibia requiring visas for certain visitors. The viral tale was a myth, spun from a kernel of truth and amplified by global anxieties. The real message: we are equal. This moment became a mirror, reflecting our own assumptions about Africa. Namibia wasn't asking for a seat at the table. It was pulling up its own chair. To understand the story, you have to understand the setting. The American presence in Namibia isn't about military bases or covert operations. It's soft power, embassies, Peace Corps volunteers, and tourists. For years, Americans enjoyed visa-free access to Namibia. Meanwhile, Namibians faced a complex, expensive process to visit the US. This imbalance is common across Africa, a silent testament to global hierarchy. The power of a passport is about dignity, not just travel. Namibia's move wasn't aimed at Americans, but at the system itself. The target was the assumption that this imbalance was normal. Namibia recalibrated the relationship, asking for equal treatment. The American footprint wasn't erased. It was simply asked to play by the same rules. This was about fairness, not hostility. A quiet but profound shift in the balance. Let's clear the smoke. There was no mass deportation. The viral story was fake news, quickly debunked by both governments. The real change was about reciprocity. You do for me what I do for you. Effective April 2025, Namibia required visas from citizens of countries that require visas from Namibians. This wasn't an attack on America or the West. It was a universal policy. If Namibians need a visa to visit your country, your citizens need one to visit Namibia. Not a punishment, but a mirror. Americans weren't banned. They just needed to apply for a visa, often on arrival. This was a door fitted with a lock, not a wall. A bureaucratic adjustment, not a bombshell. The genius was in its logic. How can anyone argue against fairness? Namibia sidestepped accusations of being anti-West by framing the change as principle, not emotion. A masterclass in asserting sovereignty without confrontation. Enter President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, Namibia's first female president. Her inauguration was a symbol of progress, but soon she was at the center of a misinformation storm. The hoax painted her as a radical, anti-American populist. Words she never spoke, actions she never took. The lie played on stereotypes, undermining her credibility before she could set her agenda. In reality, the visa policy was years in the making, rooted in fairness and reciprocity. Her administration responded calmly, debunking the lies and explaining the policy. The attack was a reminder of the challenges facing new leaders, especially women, in the digital age. But by standing firm, her government turned a malicious attack into an opportunity. Namibia's new era would be defined by quiet strength and unwavering principle. Every policy is a move on the diplomatic chessboard. Namibia's visa change was not a pawn's move. It was strategic, asserting sovereignty. This wasn't about revenge or pettiness, but about being treated as an equal. Sovereignty means setting your own rules and demanding reciprocity. Namibia wasn't creating a new system, just applying the existing one universally. This challenges the old mindset of open doors for the West, closed doors for Africans. True partnership can't be built on inequality. Namibia's action shows that diplomatic respect is enacted through policy, not requests. The door to Namibia now swings both ways, a fundamental right for any nation. The reaction to Namibia's story revealed a divided world. In the West, the fake deportation news sparked shock and confusion, filtered through a lens of Western centrality. Even after the truth emerged, some saw the visa policy as a slight or inconvenience. Media coverage focused on tourist hassle, not the principle. Across Africa, the fake news was met with mistaken celebration, a fantasy of finally saying, "Enough." When the real policy was revealed, the celebration became more focused, a calm, dignified assertion of equality. For Africans, this was a victory, not an inconvenience. Social media hailed Namibia's courage and principle. What some saw as a problem, others saw as a long overdue solution. Namibia's move was part of a larger shift across Africa. The era of post-colonial deference is fading, replaced by confidence and a desire for equal footing. This isn't about rejecting the West, but redefining relationships. Pan-African consciousness is rising, focused on pragmatic policy. Intra-African trade, tech innovation, and cultural renaissance are all part of this awakening. Visa reciprocity is a key part of the movement. Other nations like Ghana and Rwanda are making similar changes. Namibia's policy sets a precedent, inspiring others to review their own. This is the new face of Pan-Africanism, practical sovereignty, not just rhetoric. Africa is becoming an agent, shaping its own destiny. Namibia's quiet move was heard across the continent. The Namibia story is a case study in the dangers of modern misinformation. The myth of American deportation spread because it was simple and emotional. The algorithm rewards outrage, not truth. Misinformation can threaten diplomatic ties as much as any official policy. The Namibian government responded quickly, debunking the lie and refocusing on the real issue. This episode highlights the need for rapid response strategies against disinformation. In the digital age, controlling your narrative is an act of sovereignty. Truth can fight back, if you're ready. What's the final takeaway from Namibia's bold move? The story began with a lie, but ended with a powerful truth. The lie was about chaos. The truth was about dignity and reciprocity. This isn't just about 500 Americans filling out a form. It's about 1.4 billion Africans in a quiet revolution against double standards. Namibia's policy is a non-confrontational way of saying the old rules no longer apply. Africa is done being polite at its own expense. The world is changing, and nations once on the periphery are moving to the center. They're not asking for permission, they're writing their own rules. Namibia's move is a sign of things to come, a small step, a giant leap in consciousness. The whispers are over, the silence is broken. The narrative is being reclaimed, one nation at a time. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. What are your thoughts on the Namibian president's actions? This is Insight Africa, where the continent speaks for itself.